a lot of people say, well, the Lord is watching us. He's taking care of us. Of course he is. But he's also asking us to be prudent and to also be wise as well.
Welcome to Leadership 360, a thought-provoking podcast tailored for Seventh-day Adventist church leaders seeking to elevate their skills, enhance their faith, and explore how to be transformative leaders in every facet of their lives. We're excited to have another leader joining us from the Texas Conference. Pastor José Rojas is the Director for Risk Management here at the Texas Conference office. Jose, thank you for coming on Leadership 360 to talk about risk management. As exciting as that is, I'm sure you're going to make it exciting. So I'm already going to.
I'll do my best.
Get that prompt out there. You're going to make risk management exciting.
Well, thank you for having me here.
No, I'm excited to see what the conversation goes with. But before we get to risk management and all that goes along with that, tell us a little bit about your journey to ministry, but also your journey to being the Director of Risk Management here at the conference.
Well, migrated to the U.S. from the Dominican Republic at 16. Went to high school, finished high school here in the U.S., in the East Coast. After that, went into the workforce, gave my life to Jesus. And after giving my life to Jesus, he called me into ministry. However, I did not heed to the call.
That's a common theme with many of our guests is we're going to go the roundabout way to ministry.
Mm-hmm. So I just started my career in the financial services industry, and the Lord had to take me through the Jonah experience. And after recognizing, I went ahead and in 2008, took a leap of faith and decided to come to Southwestern Adventist University to finish theology. And I've been working in the Texas Conference since 2010.
So this is the only conference you worked for?
That is correct.
Good. Now I've known you for as long as I've been here, as long as you've been here, but you just became the Director of Risk Management how long ago?
That was in July 2024.
Okay, so last year. Let me just jump in because we got so much to cover. What is risk management in the context of the Texas Conference?
Well, let me just, I guess, mention what risk management is,
okay,
right? And what we do and then what we want to,
gotcha,
I guess, specialize in.
Sure.
So we deal with insurance for the properties, and also for automobile, general liability insurance, not only for churches, schools, and any other entities within the conference. We also focus on minimizing liabilities, right? Mitigating risk.
Gotcha.
Right? As the name denotes. And we're trying to create a safe environment of worship, safe environment at the schools. And we also deal with protecting the most vulnerable, which are children.
Okay, sure.
So we deal with background checks,
gotcha,
Sterling volunteers, the trainings. And in a nutshell, that's what we do.
Okay.
What the Texas Conference wants to, I want to say, emphasize on is on awareness.
Gotcha.
Bringing awareness to the regular church members so that they may align with the policies of the Texas Conference and also or the church as well.
I like what you said in terms of we want it to be a safe place. Mm-hmm. We want our buildings to be a safe place. We want the environment to be a safe place. We want our volunteers and the people that are doing ministry at the church to be safe people. That sometimes takes a lot of jumps through hoops to get to. I mean, you talked about Sterling volunteers. Talk a little bit about that process. I know that the policy is that, our volunteers need to go through a background check, through some training. What does that look like?
So any person that wants to serve in the church, regardless of their office, whether they're working with children or not, they must go through a background check and also a video training that takes about 30 minutes. And they have to go through that so that we may allow them to volunteer, help. Now, when it comes into club ministries, we want them to go the extra mile by keeping their eyes open.
Sure. Okay.
And that's part of what we want our club ministry leaders to do.
Gotcha.
Now, when I say keep their eyes open, is to go the extra mile and see if a person, although they have passed their background check, are they safe to be around children, right? Are they patient? Are they compassionate?
So is it safe to say, you hear this within law enforcement, you hear this, in the world in which we live, if you see something, say something.
Well, you remember 9/11.
Yes.
For those of us that, I guess I'm dating myself, but for those of us that were around for 9/11, that was the slogan back then. If you see something, say something. That was all over New York City. I remember having to travel out there, in and out. It was all over the place. So people had this heightened awareness of what they needed to do. And that's what we want to create. We want to create that same heightened awareness into not only regular church member, but also the leadership as well, the pastoral staff. And one of the ways to do that would be to go through the churches, bringing this type of trainings.
Okay. So is this driven by, man, we don't want to get sued? Or is it a bigger picture of, no, we really want to take care of our people?
Well, first, we want to take care of our people.
Okay.
That's the number one. Of course, the lawsuit element is always there. Every big company, it does not matter what company it is, they always have a compliance department, making sure that the employees are compliant with their policies and they don't get out of line so that they would not get sued.
Sure.
But they're also taking care of the employees themselves. So the same thing applies with the church, the conference, and the membership.
So as you look at churches, what do you see as the most significant risk management issues in the local church? Is it property? Is it volunteer? Or is it a combination of all of that?
So both.
Okay.
So we'll go with the property. Property churches must always be up to par. Must always be in line with the city code.
Okay.
Safety always goes first. Having good set of cameras, having good lighting in their parking lot. Also, the building inside, is the rug well kept?
Gotcha.
Is it ripped? Can somebody trip over it? So that's the physical aspect. And of course, whenever different seasons come, so let's just say we are in the winter season, where we just had a freeze, are all of our pipes, rightly kept? Are they warm? Is the thermostat turned on or turned down to at least 60 degrees Fahrenheit so that it can keep the building warm somewhat? Those are the type of things. Whenever a storm is coming, are there limbs of trees on top of the roof and all of that? That's a physical aspect, right?
So let me stop there for a minute, because that's important. It's a lot of stuff that we do at our homes to prepare, cover pipes, make sure that go down the whole list. But sometimes my experience has been, as I've traveled around many churches, people will think about that for their homes, but they don't necessarily process through that for, maybe we should think about that at the local church. What do you see with the physical property? Is it tripping issues? Is it, what are those little things? Is it just awareness, like, okay, now I need to think of this like my home?
I think it's mainly awareness and having someone there to actually just be responsible for that,
gotcha.
like a property coordinator type of deal.
Gotcha.
That would be ideal, to have a safety officer there as well. To take care of that. Mainly, what I've seen through churches is that they are vulnerable.
Okay.
And they do not notice that they are vulnerable. For instance, a church with 5 entrances, two in the front, 2 on the side, 1 in the back, and they're all open.
Sure.
You don't know who comes in, who goes out. That's a vulnerable spot. And many churches do not seem to realize that they ought to be careful.
Right. And it almost becomes, we lock doors, went home, all that kind of stuff. But at church, again, you want to create an atmosphere where people feel welcomed, but you also recognize, again, the world in which we live, you never know what's going to happen. You know, we've seen a number of church shootings over the course of the last number of years, and it does make us targets. We can be vulnerable, but I like what you said, a church safety officer, someone who's specifically tasked with kind of making sure everything is where they don't need to be the dictator over, okay, I'm the one who's giving out keys and, you know, you got to give a DNA sample to get a key. But it's someone that could be aware of what's going on. You don't want the pastor to do that. He or she's got a lot of other stuff going on. What are some of the resources? And we'll come back to the kids and the population, but I want to hit on the property part while we're talking about that. What are some of the resources that you can give a church that helps them see these vulnerable places? Then maybe, again, when you go to church, the same place for 30 years, you're not seeing it like someone who's new in. What are some of the resources that you give local churches? There
is a training that is designed for safety officers in the Adventist risk management website. There is a training center there for pastors, and also for safety officers as well. Not only for churches, but also for schools as well. That's the number one resource. The second resource that we have is us going and training, continuing to bring training to the areas. If churches want, we can also be at their church and just talk to them and bring in this type of awareness. So you provide any resources. Someone calls you up and says, hey, you know, can we have a site visit or give us some training in terms of, I remember when I was the administrative pastor in Arlington, we had kind of a checklist that risk management would give us, okay, check. So you want to take care of the vulnerabilities on the front side, but the reality of life is that sometimes things happen. Pipes break, people fall, you name it, you know. What then, when an incident happens, what is the pastor or the safety officer, what is their first responsibility once an incident happens on their property? When an incident happens in their property, they need to fill out an incident report. Of course, that is after calling 911. Sure. If wait a minute. No, I get it. All right, now we can call 911. Yes, we want people to do things the right way. But that will be filling out an incident report, calling us, sending us pictures if there are any, or take as many pictures as you can. And send us over our way. You can send it to insurance claims at txsda.org. And I'll be getting that email. Teresa Bonilla as well, who is my assistant, will also get that email, and we'll jump on it right away. You are the liaison because all of our churches are insured by Adventist Risk Management, the insurance conglomerate that we have for all of our properties. You're really the liaison between the local church and Adventist Risk Management, at least to get the claim started, right? That is correct. We receive that information, collect all the pertinent information, pictures, and also help them through the process until we connect them with with Adventist Risk Management. So let's talk now about vulnerable populations. You specifically talked about kids, but again, everybody, you know, we want to make it a safe place. What are some resources that you give the local church to help people understand what creating a safe place looks like and how they do that? We provide training, number one. That's what we're trying to do. We're focusing on training. We are going through different areas, bringing training on emergency preparedness, church safety. So what I hear you saying is that you're trying to be proactive. Correct. Instead of just waiting for, okay, we're going to wait for the claims to come in, somebody's going to fall or something's going to happen to one of our vulnerable populations. You're trying to be out there on the front end. Hey, this is what it looks like. We talked about, you just did training not that long ago down in the Rio Grande Valley. What were some components? I thought it was really cool what you guys covered with those components. So we cover the biblical principles of being good stewards and being sentinels, being watchmen for the vulnerable population, right? So if you see something, say something. If you see someone that is acting a little bit different, someone that stands out to you, just make sure that you keep an eye on that person. Make sure you let your deacon or your pastor know, so that your children will be saved. Not only the children, but also the elderly as well. I must also say that one of the things that we cover out there is placing signs in the church's bathroom, not to allow younger kids go without their parents to the restroom. We brought awareness not to allow your children to go with the deacon or the deaconess. Just you or your parent need to bring them to the restroom. So those were some of the things that we spoke out there. The biblical principles, the practicality of doing this type of things, but also the action that they need to take to protect, placing cameras in the hallways, placing cameras in the foyer, in the entrance, in the exit, and in some cases even maybe having and hiring a off-duty police officer.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute.
Please do.
Somebody says, "Now, come on, Elder Rojas, this is overkill. Why we don't need a police officer. We want to be a welcoming place. Our kids should be able to run free. They should be able to God's going to take care of us." What do you say to that?
You should play devil advocate more, a little bit more, because I like what you brought. If you go into the book of Exodus, chapter 17, verse 12, the Bible says there that the Amalekites came and they attacked the Israelites as they were coming out of Egypt. God was in the front, right? The cloud was covering them, right? So God was in their midst. But the Amalekites, you find out later on in the book of Deuteronomy that they came from behind and they attacked their weak. And so that tells us that evil is always looking to prey on the weak ones,
right,
on the most vulnerable. And that is something that you're bringing up, that a lot of people say, well, the Lord is watching us. He's taking care of us. Of course he is. But he's also asking us to be prudent and to also be wise as well. In your house, you don't sleep with your door open, wide open, just because the Lord is taking care of you. Why do you lock it? So the same thing applies in the church as well. And we need to be hyper vigilant with our children especially.
So let's say, and again, in ministry, you run across this. Let's say that you have a registered sex offender who wants to come to church. They've served the sentence, they've been released, still on. What is the process? Is it just, hey, let's come on in, or what is the process? Because this is important, I think, for a lot of churches to understand. Because, again, we want to be grace-filled. Don't get me wrong, but I like what you said in terms of prudence. Walk us through what that looks like.
So that's a great point. We do believe in grace. We do believe God is compassionate and God forgives. However, in the world that we're living in, there are consequences. And everywhere this individual that is now a registered offender goes, he needs to actually register. If he moves from one place to the next, he needs to make sure and let the registry know where he moved. So when he comes into a church, he needs to the pastor, the leadership needs to sit him down, and they need to fill out an attendance agreement.
Okay.
That attendance agreement says that that person needs to be chaperoned and cannot be in any children activity.
Okay.
By himself.
So when you say chaperone, does that mean I got to follow this person everywhere, or what?
That person needs to sit with him and have him in close proximity. If he goes to the restroom, he cannot just go by himself. Yes.
So again, someone will say, but Jose, come on, they've done their time. Why do we need to do this?
That is correct. I mean, they have done their time. However, we need to take care of him as well as take care of the rest.
So it's not just to protect the kids, it's to protect the sex offender.
That is correct.
So that there's never any question in terms of anything happening in the church that they can be accused of
Just in case if anything were to happen.
Exactly. We live in a world where there is false accusations and all that kind of stuff, and for various reasons. So the chaperone agreement protects the church
and the sex offender.
Because I've seen a lot of churches, oh no, they're okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on them, but there's not anything formal of expectations.
One thing that I must mention is that while this person attends church, and we have to believe that God transformed people. We have to take it at face value. But they would not be able to occupy any office in the church simply because of their past.
Okay. Let's get off there. This is a kind of a dreary, because again, we are fallen human beings. We want to be proactive, not reactive. What for you? Let me go a little more positive. Let's say a church is proactive. They've got a safety officer. They're doing training. I know that when I was at Arlington, we would have a fire drill. I mean, on Sabbath morning, we'd have a fire drill. Talk about disrupt. But again, you never know what's going to happen. You do all of these things, and there's a whole litany of things. What for you? Paint a picture for me what a safe church looks like, both from a physical standpoint, but also from a safe place with the members and the attendees that come.
So you have your checklist. That's number one. You have people, your deacons, deaconess, always looking around, being aware of what's going on, circling the parking lot. Always keep an eye out for newcomers. Newcomers have a way of themselves, especially when I was pastoring. I would always love to stand at the door just to see who comes in, welcome them in, but also see how our own members were doing. Just standing at the door and seeing everyone that comes in gives you a pretty good idea of who that person is. Do you know their full intent? No, you don't. So keeping a safe environment will be welcoming everyone, loving them, but also keeping in the back of your mind that you need to be aware. You need to expect, unfortunately, it sounds bad, but you need to expect the worst.
Sure.
And that having cameras, I should also add, also adds to that. Having all the doors, having just one point of entrance until that moment of the exit. So if you have 5 doors, people usually come in and out. Just make sure that all these other doors are locked and just have one point of entrance so that you'll know who's in there and who's not.
So I want to talk about something. Go ahead.
No. I was forgetting something, but I can mention it later on.
Let's talk again. Risk management. We want to be proactive. We don't want anything to ever happen, but we want to make sure that we're prepared. One of the things that is on the forefront of a lot of people's minds, whether it be at schools, whether it be at churches, and you can talk to both if you'd like, is the active shooter. Is someone who wants to come in and do harm. I've been to churches. Again, I travel all over the state of Texas that have off-duty officers in the foyer. I also have been to churches where that a number of folk are carrying. What is the advice when it comes to that kind of, do we want to have a security force that, or how do we, what is our philosophy with firearms and active shooters and all that comes along with that? Because Texas is unique in the sense that, we have the constitutional carry. What is that? What is the philosophy when it comes to risk management and firearms and active shooters?
So we don't want members to create their own security squad.
Okay.
Right? With those carrying. As we know, Texas it's Texas, and there are people all over the spectrum. So we allow each church to take their own measures. At the Texas conference, we don't encourage members to create the security forces either. Yeah.
Is there? Let me ask it this way: is there training that we can offer at the conference, specifically with active shooters? Because, again, in that kind of stressful situation, people are going to do stuff that they may not regularly do, whether it be run, whether it be draw, whether it be whatever it is. Can we offer some resources on the front side that help? Because I know there's a lot out there.
So we are offering different type of trainings, as we mentioned in the beginning, about going through the different areas. And active shooting is one of those trainings that we're bringing.
Gotcha.
Not necessarily so that you may get prepared to start shooting, but just to know what to do in the case of. In the case of, we're not advising individuals necessarily, hey, you should pack, and this is what you're gonna do as a person that is packing. But just a generic training.
Okay.
For every members, those that have a gun and those that do not.
So what I hear you saying, and I'm going to go back to the painting the picture of a safe church, is a church that's proactive, that goes through the training, either online. You said there's a number of videos that are online that safety officers, but also leaders of the church should go through. There's also some in-person training. I know that you guys go around the conference and do different trainings. We alluded to the one that you guys did just in the valley. So what I hear you saying is a safe church is one that is proactive, not reactive.
Yes. We always that's what we want. We want churches to be proactive, to be aware, and also expect the worst.
Okay.
We do know that God is caring for us, that He's He's protecting us. At the same time, we want to just understand that any given Sabbath, something will happen. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when.
Right.
And it could be a natural disaster, as it could be just someone just wandering around in the parking lot trying to steal somebody's car, or going into the church and stealing other people's wallet, or trying to target our kid and our elderly.
So there's a fine line between being vigilant, and let me use that, I'll use that word, but also being welcoming. Is that fair to say that you would see it as, okay, there's that balance, there's that fine line between vigilance, expect the worst, make sure that you're looking, but also that welcoming. You don't want people to feel like they're walking into Fort Knox.
Well, they do want to feel. They do want to feel that they're walking into a secure place.
All right.
Yes, but we still want to be welcoming. We still, even a person as a pastor before.
Yeah.
I would see individuals. I was at the door and I would ask my deacon, "Hey, keep an eye on that person." But we were the most welcoming to that person because, if anything, you want to get to know them,
sure,
who they are. You just don't want to leave them outside. However, we're not being in fake. We want to show genuine love. So there is a fine line, but you also want to be careful because you don't want to scare people away either.
No, and I think there is that you constantly, as a leader, correct me if I'm wrong, that you and your team need to be keep vigilant, but also continue to do training. And we keep hitting this, and maybe that's the moral of the story. Be proactive, get training, so that when something does happen, going back to the fire drill, we knew, Arlington was a huge church. We knew that if the fire alarm went off, we knew exactly our deacons knew how to direct where and how and all, get out of the sanctuary. But that would not have happened if there had not been conversations and training beforehand.
Look, I think the best way to explain it is the sports aspect, right? You are a Steelers fan.
Absolutely.
So they have to train every single week. even if they have 17, 19 games per year. And their goal is to hit the Super Bowl. They haven't made it lately, right? But
Before they, we've been in since the Cowboys, but,
well, but
that's
I'm not a
neither here
Cowboy
nor
fan,
there.
so I'm okay with that. So, but what I want to allude to is that their goal is to get to the Super Bowl, and they're training week in and week out to make the Super Bowl. And our training should be targeted to make the church a safe place, of course, welcome people, and think about a young family that is coming in with 3 children.
Sure.
Three, 2 girls, 1 boy. What the woman is looking at is this place a safe place, the mother. The husband will be looking at other things, but mainly mothers are the ones that are looking at safety. Is she going to know that this is going to be a secure, a safe church by the way that we by the way that we welcome people, by the way we allow our kids to go to the restroom, who goes with them, who doesn't go, who goes in. When children are in the restroom, should there be any other adult in there? Should the mother be there? When they go to club ministries, who's watching? Is it just full of women with no men watching? So women will see that sense of security,
Sure,
and safety, and they'll usually will get drawn to that because of the security of their children.
and that's all created by being proactive
Yes.
and going through the training. That's the
Training, and you should always get ready. I mean, at least a month, there should be at least 1 emergency preparedness training, whether it is a tornado, fire, and besides fire, active shooting maybe, and others.
So I think the moral of the story, as we kind of come to an end of this conversation, is training, awareness, vigilance, balanced with grace.
Don't sleep on your laurels.
Don't sleep on your laurels. Okay, tease that out of I like that. That's true.
I mean, look, we should always be vigilant, as you said, proactive. And if there is something that you believe that we're not providing, call us.
Okay.
And we'll be more than happy to bring, more training and more awareness. And what we're doing with all of our trainings, we're trying to record them in such a way that anyone can just plug and play.
Okay.
Come watch those videos and at least just raise awareness. If we can raise awareness in at least 20% of the church, that's a win. Because usually it's 20% of the church that works. Well,
Right.
Sorry, that serves
Yes.
a lot more than others.
20%, 80% of the ministry and of the work. Sure.
Yes.
So you're saying 20% awareness is going to take us to
To have
a
more.
much higher level of vigilance and having more safety in the church.
Yes.
If they have questions, and what's unique, and I want to affirm our administration here, we've never had risk management as a standalone department before last year. But I know the officers, Elton, David, Randy, are so committed to this that they decided, hey, we need to have an individual come in. I bring that up because it's this idea of, okay, yes, litigation's always there. But more importantly, we want to create a safe place for our kids, our families, for our visitors to come in. So if a church leader has questions, just reach out to you. Is that the easiest way to kind of find the answers? Don't Google it.
Well, just call us.
Sure.
That will be the first thing. If they see that their church is resistant to doing background checks on the individuals, usually they're bored. Feel free to reach out. We'll be more than happy to talk to the different church boards if we have to. Even go preach at the church,
Sure.
do a
Okay.
general training in their church. They can call us. Let me just pause here also. I think this administration has has a vision, and in that vision is keeping our churches safe, in which I applaud it. And of course, I guess I'm the recipient of being elected to spearhead this department. But it just shows on the quality of leadership that we have to continue to move forward and be proactive and not be reactive whenever something happened in X part of Texas. Well, why wasn't that addressed before? So we want to make sure that we get there before. Claims are always going to come in, I should say.
Sure. No, things are going to happen.
They're going to continue to happen. But having a department, it assures efficiency, effectiveness, and also, I guess the speed in which things are done.
Gotcha. No, and again, reach out to you, Teresa Bonilla, as your assistant, as you mentioned before.
That is correct.
With any questions via email or via phone. We could have covered a whole lot more, but I want to get to our lightning round so we get to know you a little bit better. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Naturally, I'm a night owl.
Okay.
However, in the last since COVID, I've been switching to being a morning person, and it has paid off quality dividends. Okay.
Now, what's interesting is you didn't mention at the beginning, and I meant to prompt you. You have a wife, a daughter. How long have you and your wife been married?
We have been married 12 years.
Okay. And your daughter is how old?
She's 3.5.
3.5.
I also have a daughter, 30-year-old, and a son who is 25.
So, looking at the family at home, your wife and your daughter, are they obviously, is your wife a night owl or a morning person? How does that?
She's a morning person.
Okay.
She was the morning person. When we got married, she would go to sleep at 8:30. I was still. I guess I was just waking up. I guess, and I will be up until like 1 or 2 or 3 doing homework and working on other things. That was my peak hour.
Gotcha. Number 2, what is your favorite time of the year?
Summer.
Why?
Summer.
It's baseball season, I know.
Well, yeah. I don't know. Maybe because I grew up in an island and I just like the heat. So, yeah, the summer. I like the sun. I like warm mornings. So, maybe because of that.
Not get out and freeze and have to warm your car up.
Yep.
Number 3, what is the most memorable trip you've ever taken?
Oof. I should mention the Israel trip that we did back in 2019. That was memorable. And then right after that, we went to another 7 countries with my wife for the following 2 weeks.
Wow. What 7 countries did you hit?
Germany, France, Italy, Belgium, Holland, Barcelona, and London.
Wow.
Sorry, Spain, I should say.
Sure.
And London.
So that was obviously before your daughter was born.
That is correct.
So you guys were able to be footloose and fancy free, because we were gone for 2+ weeks to Israel and Jordan. Then you took another 2 weeks, man.
Yeah. I was on that side of the world already, and it was pretty affordable to do that.
Sure. That was an awesome trip. Was an awesome trip. What is one thing on your bucket list?
Really just to go, and I love to travel. And one thing on my bucket list is to go to Japan and China.
Oh, okay.
For a good month and a half with my family. And to learn Mandarin, number 1.
So why? Why that part of the world? Why?
I've always been fascinated with Asia.
Okay.
Especially growing up. I used to watch a lot of Chinese movies.
Okay.
Karate, kung fu, and so yeah.
Okay. If you could have any animal as a pet, any animal, what would it be?
Are we talking about heaven or just here on earth?
It could be any animal that you want. You can have a lion that's not going to, rip your head off. Just any animal. I'm kind of curious what kind of animal you'd have as a pet.
I'm more of a tiger guy.
A tiger guy. Okay.
Yeah. Eagles. Eagles are nice.
Okay.
I like eagles.
Nice.
But you can't have one of those.
No, that's true. But if you could, an eagle or a tiger?
I would say both.
Okay.
Can I get two?
You get two. Hey,
I get those two.
It's your question, so whatever. Last, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Don't hurry.
Don't hurry. Is that just driving, or is that more than just? Because I've ridden with you a couple times. So.
Yeah, I have a heavy foot. No, that was growing up. I had a mentor. He passed since, but I had a mentor that he would always tell me, you are extremely smart. You are, he would give me my qualities and he would say, you're hurrying too much. Life is not about hurry. Just take it day by day.
I like that.
And so it stuck with me, which, I'm still dealing with that.
No, we all have those challenges. Life is busy and life is crazy, but I think that's a great piece of advice, to just slow down and enjoy the moment you're in, enjoy the day that you have in front of you, and don't worry about next week, next month, next year. I like that. I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna try to follow that piece of advice.
Well, I've been trying my whole life, so
You're still not there yet.
no.
Well, Jose, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for taking time out to share with us, again, this idea of being proactive, this idea of we want to create our churches, our schools to be safe places for everybody that God brings to these places, so that they're able to have an experience with him. So again, thank you for being on. Thank you for joining us on Leadership 360. Subscribe where you get your podcasts. You can follow us on YouTube at Texas Adventist. You can get us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can download us. We come out the third Thursday of every month. But join us next month as we have another guest, as we continue to hone our leadership to be the leaders God has called us to be. See you next month.